Ever check your Macs about page and thought, macOS 10, OS 10, or macOS 10.15, 11, or 26? Apple's names keep you guessing, but they make your Mac special. Let's explore this naming adventure and see what's behind your OS. In 2001, Apple revolutionized computing with macOS 10, featuring a sleek, modern operating system for Mac, bold enough to earn its iconic name. The X Factor. The new macOS is called macOS 10, but to represent the number 10, Apple did not use a normal path. Using the Arab number 1 and 0, they chose the Roman numeral, a big X. They write as macOS X, and often use the big X symbol to represent the system, which looks cool and futuristic. From macOS 10 to OS 10, then the macOS. In 2012, Apple streamlined macOS 10 to OS 10, starting with OS 10 10.8 Mountain Lion. The rebranding aimed for simplicity and freshness, aligning with Apple's evolving identity. Yet, the company sought further consistency across its platforms, like iOS for iPhones and watchOS for Apple Watches. To unify its ecosystem, Apple reintroduced macOS for the Mac operating system, reviving the classic name with a modern twist, a lowercase Mac and no space between Mac and OS. This cohesive naming strategy tied together Apple's diverse product lineup, blending nostalgia with innovation. The version jump. The saga of Apple's operating system naming isn't over. Far from it. The version numbering has seen its own twists. In the early days of macOS 10, versioning was straightforward. The first release was 10.0, followed by 10.1, 10.2, and so on, predictable and logical. This pattern held for over a decade, with Apple incrementing the minor version up to 10.15. Meanwhile, iPhone saw their iOS major version bump annually, but macOS clung to 10 for over 15 years. In 2020, Apple shook things up, finally advancing the major version with macOS 11 Big Sur, followed by macOS 12 Monterey and macOS 13 Ventura. By 2025, with a sprawling lineup of operating systems and versions, Apple faced complexity overload. To simplify, Apple pivoted again, tying the macOS version to the following year's number, ushering in macOS 26, a bold move to streamline their ever-growing ecosystem. From Cat to California. Beyond brand names and version numbers, Apple assigns nicknames to its macOS releases. macOS 10 10.0 was dubbed Cheetah, kicking off a tradition of big cat names for each version. This feline theme persisted through the first 8 releases. Starting with the 9th version, OS 10 10.9, Apple shifted to California landmarks, beginning with Mavericks. This naming convention endured for 13 years, reflecting iconic state locations. As time passes, Apple may face another naming challenge, potentially prompting a fresh naming scheme for future operating system releases to keep the tradition vibrant and relevant. Apple's journey with naming its operating systems is a timeless software engineering lesson. Naming is hard. Even a tech titan like Apple has grappled with finding the perfect names for its products. On the topic of naming, we're considering a rebrand for our channel to better align with our focus. To stay updated with our content after the potential name change, please hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you in the next video.